as the first rays of a new day pierced through the thick fog that hung over the East Sea. The space surrounding the offshore fishing vessel, bearing the number of transoceanic ships, was a single grey expanse of water and sky merging into one. The silent but persistent roar of the ship's diesel engine had echoed powerfully for 12 hours. Like an unyielding, iron heart, propelling waves forward in the vast, uncharted waters. The night sea was anything but calm. The turbulent waves, as high as a man's head, relentlessly stormed, churning up white foam and splashing salty water onto the deck, making everything slippery and challenging. Yet, for the fishermen who had spent their lives immersed in the salty air and the breath of the open sea, this harshness was merely a familiar prelude to each successful catch. On tip bridge, the old captain, his deep-set, dark eyes etched with the wrinkles of wind, intently watched the fish finder scream. The constantly flashing streaks of blue, red, and yellow displayed the density of marine life hundreds of meters deep. After hours of navigating the calculated ocean currents, a satisfied smile spread across his sun-tanned, wind-beaten face. The fish finder had just scanned a thick, bright red streak stretching hundreds of meters. It wasn't a small school of fish, but a silver labyrinth of the ocean moving right beneath the ship's nets. The moment the order was given, the atmosphere of victory on the ship was instantly shattered. The sailors, the skilled fishermen who had been snatching a few hours of sleep after a long night of guarding the nets, sprang to their feet like compressed springs. No one dawdled, no one slowed down. They rushed onto the deck in their familiar protective gear, bright orange waterproof overalls, high-necked rubber support boots, and frayed fabric armbands with a few fish spines. The neon lights on the deck blazed brightly, cutting through the remaining darkness of the night, transforming the deck space into a magnificent stage where the fishermen were the courageous dancers, preparing to enter the battle to conquer the ocean's bounty. The sea breeze at dawn whipped up sand, carrying a chill that clung to the skin, but on the deck, the warmth of determination began to spread. The hydraulic finishing system at the stern of the ship began to start. The screeching sound of the oil being pressed was audible to everyone, but was the first stimulating sound to the ears of every seafarer. All the blacksmiths were ready in their positions, each with a task, working rhythmically and precisely like a perfectly lubricated machine. The operator, the watchman, the cable preparer all directed their gaze towards the dark sea behind the ship's stern. Immediately, the rotating shaft of the machine began to move slowly but powerfully. The steel wires, as thick as an adult's wrist, were taut like guitar strings, making dry, crackling sounds as they endured an immense pulling force from the deep sea. The aft surface of the ship began to move vigorously. The first yellow and red cables, bobbing on the water's surface, began to gradually shift towards the stern of the ship. Fishing is never an easy job, and when the nets are full of fish, it becomes a real battle between man and the ocean's pull. The immense weight of tons of fish is gathered in the net to create a powerful force for the ship. Even the magnificent vessel is now held back, its stern slightly lowered as if the sea wants to hold onto its treasure. The fishermen lined up along the side of the ship and the aft deck. Their job was to receive the first meters of nets pulled up, neatly arrange them in the designated net storage area for the next catch, and remove any debris or coarse coral. Sweat began to drip onto their troubled faces. Although the weather offshore was still cold, under the intense labor, their undershirts were already dry. The deeper they went into the net, the heavier the weight became. The hydraulic winches had to work at full capacity, and the oil pipelines heated up intensely. The captain stood on the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the main cable. He knew that if just one shirt, one piece of equipment cable, or one mesh of the net were damaged due to overloading, all the efforts of the entire crew over the past few days would be lost, not to mention the dangerous accidents that could happen to his crew. And then, the most important part of the net perforator, or fish bag, gradually came into view from afar. From the surface of the sea, a vast, tranquil expanse of water surged with powerful energy. The seawater was no longer blue, but had turned a blinding white due to the millions of trapping motions of the fish being squeezed into that confined space. The rising sun shone upon the water, reflecting dazzling rays of light. That pouch, at this moment under heavy attack, resembled a silver monster being found aboard the ship's hull shortly after. The fish inside were so numerous, they crashed into each other, thrashing about wildly, creating a cacophony of sounds like a torrential downpour on a tin roof. It was one of the remarkable juxtapositions of marine fish: the blue-tinged sunset whirlfish, the gleaming silver-hulled mackerel, the plump sardines, and even the long puddlefish. To lift this net bag onto the ship's deck, conventional methods were no longer sufficient. The ship's main hydraulic crane, a flying arm reaching high into the sky, had to be used. The most experienced fisherman, known as the King of Hooks, had to stand in the most dangerous position at the waterline at the stern of the ship. His body swayed with the waves, one hand gripping the railing, the other holding the iron hook to connect to the crane's cable. The operator immediately pulled the hydraulic lever. A clanging sound of metal filled the air as the cable supporting the boom tightened. The bag, now full, began to rise from the water's surface. Seawater from the net cascaded down like small waterfalls, creating a torrent of white bubbles. The tremendous force of the catch propelled the entire ship to one side. Inch by inch, meter by meter, the bag of fish rose higher, breaching the guardrail and moving. It was a precious sight that anyone who witnessed it once could never forget. A massive mass of fish, perhaps 15 whiskers, weighing 25 tons, lay neatly within the protective netting, suspended in midair. The fish in the outermost layer tried to hide their heads and tails through the mesh, thrashing violently, creating a scene of wild, vibrant sea life. The early morning sunlight shone directly on the mass of fish, transforming it into a shimmering sphere of light. All the fishermen immediately stepped back, surrounding the pre-opened freezing chamber. The chamber was dark and deep, with a tightly packed system of crushed ice and cold water waiting to receive the material. The burly fishermen, armed with long poles fitted with specialized hooks, approached the bottom of the suspended net bag. Their target was the tail rope, the filter knot that held the entire catch of fish. This was a job requiring absolute precision and courage, because if opened at the wrong time, the mass of fish could shift downwards. They worked in perfect coordination, one person using a pole to hold the corner section tightly, the other using a hook to forcefully pull the safety lock rope. Tens of thousands of fish of all sizes poured out in a torrent, creating a deep, thunderous roar. We dumped them onto the deck, and then, propelled by inertia and the designed slope, they all surged into the hold like an endless silver river. The pungent splashing of fish on the iron deck, the gentle rustling of the fish brushing against each other, and the joyful humming of the cold stones in the hold as they received the fish created a harmonious, yet incredibly stimulating soundscape. They showed no fear. On the contrary, bursts of laughter and joyful cheers echoed everywhere. A middle-aged fisherman, still laughing, used a large, specialized shovel to push the remaining fish back down from the deck into the hold. The large, plump, elongated ocean fish, weighing several kilograms each, still thrashed violently as they fell onto the deck, splashing seawater and fish scales onto the faces and clothes of the crew members. Below the ship's hold, in its unrefined state, lies a completely different world. It's a world of sub-zero temperatures and extreme urgency. As soon as the torrent of fish begins to descend from above, the fishermen tasked with salting the fish in the hold must work at full capacity. In the cramped space, illuminated by dim yellow lights and enveloped in swirling cold air, they must use shovels and bare hands to quickly sort the fish, while simultaneously spreading. The principle of preserving seafood is to freeze it quickly and deeply. This ensures the freshness of the fish is maintained until the Falcon ship arrives. As each layer of fish is lowered, the fishermen quickly scoop up a layer of ice, creating layers upon layers between the fish and the freezing cold. They work in a harsh environment, their breath turning into white smoke. Their hands numb with cold even with safety gloves on, yet their work rate never slows down. Looking down from the hold, the previously empty space had been quickly repurposed. The silvery sheen of the fish blended with the pristine white of the crushed ice, creating an impressive work of art. Each mackerel and snakehead lay motionless in its icy slumber, retaining the purest essence of the vast ocean. When the last fish in the net had completely drifted down into the hold, the upper deck gradually regained its bright, airy appearance, with only the seawater and shimmering white pearls glistening in the rising sun. The hold's opening was sealed with thick steel plates and locked, securing the silver treasure within the ship. Only then could the people breathe a sigh of relief. They sat in isolation, their arms soaked with sweat, exhausted, yet their eyes shone with a calm, radiant joy. They rewarded themselves with puffs of cigarettes, excitedly discussing the size of the fish they had just caught and promising a glorious, successful voyage. The ship started its engines again, heading towards new schools of fish, carrying with it the unwavering faith and desire of these resourceful, hardworking people of the coastal region to reclaim the sea. When the hatch slammed shut with a dry, sharp sound, the deck fell into an eerie silence. The roaring, boisterous sound of the fish cascading into the cold hold was now just an echo in the minds of each crew member. The fishermen sat slumped on the metal deck, leaning against the ship's hull, letting the sea breeze dry the beads of sweat that trickled down their foreheads. But rest on a fishing vessel far offshore never lasts more than a week. In the wheelhouse, Captain Tran Van took a shot of medicine, his eyes glued to the G-piece and altimeter. The recent catch, though a bountiful haul of 2 tons of mackerel and scad, was, in his more than 30 years of experience navigating the waves, only the prelude to a full-blown sea voyage. The migrating fish from the north were being blocked by a current cutting across from the east. The captain's words, amplified over the internal loudspeaker system, acted like an electric current, reactivating the crew. The fishermen stood up, extinguishing their medications. They entered the small galley in the aft cabin. where a steaming bowl of fish stew with onions and peppers had been prepared by the cook. Each man took a large bowl, slurping it up as he blew on it. The sweet taste of the fresh fish combined with the pungent spiciness of the wild peppers provided. When the baskets weren't neatly packed into boxes, the blacksmiths were all present at the stern of the ship. The reinforced nets, collected from the previous haul, were immediately rearranged by skilled hands. In the correct order: floats to floats, glass, no mesh allowed to overlap or knot. Tinnet, Gunner, the most important figure in this leisurely work, stood proudly at the stern of the ship,